Hello and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. My name is Kevin, and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
My name is Mike, and I can explain.
I don't know. Was I supposed to say two? We never start with two.
Yeah,
we
that's
never
true.
start with me.
It's supposed to be the one and the two. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, originally I had this week planned. I was gonna say I'm Kevin and I got attacked by a wild animal.
Right.
But I guess you wanted to say something.
I did want to say something. So now we can go the inverse and do it again and pretend like it never happened. Hello and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. I'm Mike and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin and hoopty-doopty-doo.
Oh, right. No, you had a thing and then you dropped it right at the last minute.
Forgot it.
This episode is cursed. Welcome and
Yes.
Thank you for sticking with us over the past week where we took a little break. Last episode was cursed because Kevin got attacked by a whole cat. So that was fun. Yeah, he's got scars to prove it. You should see the other guy. It's a cat and it's fine. It's actually doing quite well. And then for me, we went to go and record it this week and internet in the place that I use as a studio died and is still dead. So here I am in my actual home recording off of my yucky little Yeti. So if you'll forgive the difference in audio quality this week, which hopefully there won't be too much of a difference because I'm going to EQ the crud out of this thing, then we're in for a good time.
Mike devolved back to being a streamer with his bed in the background.
Yeah.
GG.
One could say I mega evolve before every podcast, and this is just me as my base form.
Yeah.
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 All right. Now, if you don't mind.
If you don't mind, I got a match to get ready for. Yeah.
And that matches this podcast because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, it's almost like we have 2 weeks worth of stuff. Did you notice how the Blursed episode happened during Halloween?
The Blursed episode? Which one was the Blursed? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is the Blursed episode.
This is technically an extension of the Blursed episode, yeah. This whole episode has been cursed. And
hopefully your internet's working next week.
Yeah. I hope everyone had a happy and safe Halloween. Gone out with your kids, gave out some candy. I went out with my kid. We got some candy.
What were you for Halloween?
I was Mr. Encinador.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What is that?
Me as a baby.
And
you've seen it. It's the me as a baby meme. Where you have like a white cloth and like a big pointy green hat.
Oh, yeah. I saw photos of that.
Yeah.
I can't spell Encinador though.
That's okay.
Because I got no search results found.
See, because what's funny, me and my two other friends, we went to this Halloween party. We were all dressed up as Mr. Encinador. And we'd all like just stand up every now and then, just like move around wildly. And I love that this is like such a low frame camera that it just looks absolutely insane. It was great. It was a really great time.
We love that.
Did you dress up for Halloween?
No, I don't have a child.
If you would dress up for Halloween, what would you dress up as?
I don't know. I've never been big on Halloween.
Really?
To be honest with you, yeah.
Never been big on dressing up, or never been big on like going out?
Well, I've always had like super protective parents when I was growing up, so they'd think that everyone was trying to drug me.
Fair.
With the Halloween candy. Or like stick needles in your Snickers or whatever people were afraid of happening before.
Okay, but when you were like in your 20s going to parties, you wouldn't dress up for Halloween?
I would just dress up in a dinosaur onesie. I was one of those guys.
You did the dino onesie?
I did the dino onesie. I was the Pokemaniac.
Cool. I like that a lot.
Just the dino onesie.
You know, you're such a big wrestling fan. I can imagine you get like a big inflatable like wrestler's chest.
I was just about to respond to but I don't have the body of a wrestler. But
you don't need the body.
That's
the whole point.
I could get an inflatable chest. Sure, yeah.
The whole point is that for one day you get to be.
Yeah.
I get to be LA Knight.
Yeah.
And for one day of the year, I get to be. I don't even have a sound for this.
Mr. Ambassador.
I guess that's the sound I could have used.
Rest in peace, LA Knight. He should have won the
Rest
championship. Anyway.
I gotta say, Kevin, first off, Well. We have a champion on our hands over here.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
LA Knight might have not won, but I guess I did. Spoilers for those that haven't watched the episode yet, because it's coming out tomorrow. But yes,
this podcast comes out on Wednesday. Thursday is the video that Kevin wins the league.
Yay!
So
first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I participated in all of them. I participated in most of them. We've been running them for like not a straight 3 years, but for the better part of 3 years.
Yeah.
And I finally did it.
You did it. I'm trying to look for the pin because I have one lying around here, but we've got new pins.
I'm gonna grab one. I have my book bag.
No.
Whoop, new pins. Oh, Mike has it somewhere under him.
I do. It was just under my desk. It's fine.
ASMR this.
All right, here we go. Get it right up to the mic. Oh, these bags are so hard to open.
The Blue Yeti. Gain all the way up.
Oh my gosh. The gain is all the way down, actually, as you can see right here. For some reason. Anyway, forget it. We're just ripping it.
That's not ASMR. That's violence.
So we've got the new moon pins.
Fancy.
They're beautiful.
They're actually really nice. They're actually really big, too.
2 little things there and the Pokésports logo on the bottom.
You know, I could appreciate that a lot because typically when you have like a circular pin like that and you only have the one center pin in the back, it'll like flip around and circle itself. Since you have 2, it stays in one orientation.
So Kevin will be receiving one of those. He already has.
I have one. I got mine in person.
And they'll be up on the Pokésports shop shortly.
Eventually.
We'll get there. It'll get there. We just need to figure some stuff out and then it'll be there. It's going to be great. Anyway, how was your experience going through the league?
It was pretty decent. I played Dondozo Tatsugiri. It's very ironic what ended up happening because we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I ended up 1-4 dropping Toronto with Dondozo Tatsugiri.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
But then in terms of the liege, I went undefeated except for one game in all 5 rounds of Swiss. Or not Swiss, I guess. 5 bracket rounds. Which is crazy. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 10 battles. I went 10-1 with Dondozo Tatsugiri, is what that means. That's wild.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
No, well, I know. I say that.
How did I blunder?
I say that to be dramatic, but really, like, it just goes to show, like, you can have bad runs in a tournament. Like, that just happens. You can have very good runs in a tournament. It doesn't necessarily mean that the team's bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're bad. It's just, it's hard to be that level of consistent in competitive play.
And you were there for one of those live
sure
battles. After a while, it's just get in the right position and click 2 buttons. That is how you play Dondozo Tatsugiri. But hey, GG's to Captain Unova from the Game Quarter podcast. Shout out to him. He was the other finalist that I defeated in the finals to regain my crown. Probably going to end up sending you the shirt, though. I don't need more shirts. As you can see, I have another shirt.
Absolutely.
I have enough shirts.
Absolutely. Do you want to go over the rest of your team?
It was Dondozo Tatsugiri. I used yellow Tatsugiri. So it was a speed variant of the Dondozo. I brought Chenpao Dragonite. Innovative. And I also brought a Fluttermane Booster Energy Speed Booster Fluttermane with a Hearthflame Ogerpon.
That's pretty standard. We like that.
Yeah. It's a 2/2/2 dozo, essentially. Yeah. See, my goal for Toronto Regionals was, hey, let me run the most standard boring stuff. Let me try to get a result. And I did the opposite. I got the worst result that I've ever had in the last 4 years. This is the first tournament I've dropped in the last 4 years as well. So you could see how poorly that was going. But you know what? Okay, I guess we're going to jump right into it.
Okay, I'll tee it up.
Yeah, go for it. Give it to me.
So we would have talked about this last week, but of course, last week was cursed. So this week, October 28th to 29th, was Toronto Regionals, 543 Masters players. It was a Regulation E tournament with 9 rounds of Swiss in day 1, 5 rounds of Swiss in day 2. The only people who made day 2 are ended up going X and 2, which means any number of wins in their rounds versus 2 losses up to 2. Plus a top 8 single elimination, all with open team sheets. It was a really interesting tournament. Both Kevin and I got to be there. We got to experience it. It's my hometown, so that was great. My fire alarm went off on one of those days, and it was really bad because I came home that night and had been running for like 8 hours for some reason. Fire alarms are faulty in this place. It's great.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, is everything okay?
No. No, I have one of them right here.
Oh,
yeah, I had to rip it
that's
off
supposed
of the
to be
ceiling.
on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. I had to rip it off of the ceiling because it wouldn't stop beeping.
So when there's an actual fire and we can find Michael, you'll know exactly where he is.
One of them works. Thankfully, it's the one in the kitchen. Anyway, Kevin, you were just about to talk about your run. At
Yeah,
Toronto
so
Regionals.
I decided to do the trifecta. I went PC, regional, MSS.
Mhm.
The PC was a best of 1 Swiss, so that's a little bit rough. Not the funnest thing ever. So I played through the best of 1 Swiss. I played all 7 rounds. I ended up going 2-5.
Okay.
So not great. Not great at all. And you think that me as a person that is a player that plays would be like, hey, maybe this is a sign. Maybe you shouldn't bring this team tomorrow. Maybe people are preparing for the Duzu. I decided not to do that. I was like, meh, sure it'll be fine. So then I walk into Toronto Regionals. Went 1-4, and I was like, oh, probably should have changed my team yesterday when I knew it wasn't going to do well. And then I dropped. And then I took a nice little walk around Toronto, mostly just to clear the air because I was obviously angry.
Yeah,
because
you
no
were
one likes
steaming.
dropping.
Yeah,
I was steaming. I even tried to join the PC that happened that same day, aligned with the actual tournament for the people that go X3 drop.
Right.
Turns out I was 10 minutes too late to sign up, so I couldn't.
Mm.
So if only I dropped sooner. The other thing is, I spent the rest of that day on Showdown. You were next to me because
I was.
Yeah. I think you went like 3-3 drop, and then you were just sitting next to me. We were both just drop sad buddies together. It's all good. Yeah, we were playing Showdown. Or I was playing Showdown, and I DM'd our friend Bruno. I was like, "Hey, send me a Hard Trick Room team." He sends me one of Len's most recent Hard Trick Room teams. I went 28-2 on Showdown, just like mindlessly playing the game. I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I should have brought this to the regional." So I did for the MSS, and I got top 16 in the MSS.
There you go. There you
I'm
go.
only allowed to play one archetype, clearly. It's what I get.
So tell me again how that worked that weekend. There was one MSS, which is a mid-season showdown, on
Sunday.
day 2 of the regionals, and there was 2 premier challenges, one on the Friday, one on the Saturday, right?
Yeah, they have the Friday before, and then they have the Saturday during, kind of a little later in the day, kind of in the afternoon, just for the people that drop out of the tournament. They still have something to do for CP. Like, say you have a bad day.
Right.
Say you got paired with really hard opponents and you still want CP, just to like make the trip worth it, you can do that as well.
I mean, okay. It really good that they have different ways for you to earn CP while you're there, especially, on such a long day like those. So as Kevin said, he went 1-4. Your run leading up to the 1-4, was that mostly losses? Was it loss, win, loss?
The Premier Challenge?
No, your actual Swiss rounds.
My Swiss rounds? It was, I think I started off, it was loss, win, loss.
So at one point you were 1-1, and then it went 1-2, 1-3, 1-4.
Which is why I didn't drop.
Yeah.
If I went 0-3, I probably would have dropped right there and just jumped on the PC. But I was late to the PC by like I said, 10 minutes.
True.
So it's such an unfortunate situation. It's like, oh, I should keep going. I shouldn't keep going. Maybe I'll just win out. Who knows? But at that point, it's like, yeah, you did nothing but lose yesterday, kid. He did nothing but lose today. What makes you think something's gonna change?
Yeah. So the reason that Kevin was still playing when he was 1-3 was because people who went 6-3 could still receive CP, and actually the CP that they gave out was quite a bit. You would either get 50 or 40 CP depending on how high up your resistance was. For me, I was not there for championship points. I was there to make day 2. If I was going to make day 2, then I would just keep on playing and I would go forever. But at one point I was 3-0 and like a really good 3-0. I played at table 1 on my third round. And it felt really good to be that high up. And then the losses started. I started facing the tanky teams. I started facing the Dusclopses, the Amoonguses, another Dusclops, and those teams just wrecked my hyper offense so hard. So unfortunately, that was at the point where I was 3-3. I was like, okay, well, even if I go 6-3 here, if I win the next 3 rounds, I'm not going to make day 2. I'm going to get a couple championship points, but that's not what I want. So I did drop at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would for the next ones as well. Like if I went to other regionals and I performed the same, I would probably drop if I'm being honest with myself. But like this one, especially because it was like my hometown, right? So like if I dropped out, I knew exactly what I was going to do. And that was anything else around the area. Yeah. I did end up staying home on day 2. I didn't think that I would, but I brought my family back and we just had a nice family time.
That's good though.
I feel bad though. I should have. I wanted to message you guys and be like, "Oh, what are you doing for dinner? I'll go out."
No, it's all good. I don't think we did much for dinner either. I think we got some poutine from some fast food poutine place, and that's all.
And
it was nothing special.
Okay, and it was nothing special.
What?
Got it.
I don't know. It was decent. Like, listen, I don't have poutine back home, so like, you put French fries, you put some stuff on top of the French fries. I ain't never complaining, but
I mean, chili fries are pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I got here is chili fries.
Mm-hmm. So that
chili
was
fries and cheese.
That was our experience with Toronto Regionals. But let's talk about the people who ended up winning the dang thing.
About the good people.
Mm-hmm. So we have the top 8. We've got Justin Tang, who ended up in 8th. Usually ends up a little higher than that. Andrew Krug, who ended up 7th, and I actually faced Andrew Krug. That was my first loss.
There's the Dusclops.
Yeah.
I see it.
And if you look real closely, you might see a Dusclops and a Cornerstone Ogre Pond. So there it is. In 6th, we've got Enzo Reichi, Illusion, Bobby Rochelle, Frolicker, and Jamie Boyd in 4th. Now, everyone from 5th to 8th ended up with 100 CP and $1,000. So congratulations to them. That's a lot of money.
How much money did I get for 1-4 drop, you might ask? Nothing.
Well, time is money. And you got a couple hours of your life back. So how much is that worth? Don't answer that.
Yes.
Jamie Boyd ended up with 130 CP and $2,000, as did Raghav Molavia, who ended up 12-2 in Swiss, 3rd place. Coming in 2nd was Paul Chua at 160 championship points and $4,000. And coming in 1st was Chup Across the 4th, getting his 2024 Worlds invite, 200 championship points, and $6,000. Not a bad trip to Toronto, if you do ask me.
You know what's even crazier about Chup Across?
What?
Since this regional win, he has won the New York MSS and the Connecticut MSS back to back.
He's on the tear.
Weekends. Dude's killing it. And you know what's crazy about like this finals in general? It was actually a very well told story because me and Pierre did go for one of the games until we realized we could just watch this from our Airbnb and not have a lot of people in front of us that are all taller than us.
We always say at every region.
But we were at the MSS. Yeah. We were at the MSS. We're like, okay, let's try to watch a stream game. It's just not a great viewing experience at a regional. So we just ended up going back, listening to it in the car while it was happening. And it was actually a very well told story between Paul Chua who, if he wins this tournament, ties Wolf Glick for the most regional tournament wins again.
Oh,
Right? Wolf Glick recently surpassed him. Paul Chua had that title for so long. So if he won this one, he would tie Wolf Glick again. Or you have Chuppa Cross, who we've said multiple times here on the channel. He has been top 8 in a very frequent amount of regionals, but has
Absolutely.
never won a regional.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like either Chuppa wins his first or Paul Chua wins his like 17th or whatever it is.
This was Chuppa's time to dethrone Paul Chua. Yeah.
It was a great set. It was a good match.
Oh, you did great. Let's talk about Chuppa's team. Chuppa's team was basically not hyper offense. It did have a little bit of utility.
This is your
on it.
team,
This was
Mike.
basically my team. Yeah. I don't even know if I
It's
brought
the exact same team as Sanvi,
Yeah.
who won the other one.
Right.
I think Lil.
Right. He came in with the Chen Pao, Rillaboom, Arcanine, Hisuian version, Rapid Strike, Urshifu, Tornadus, and Fluttermane.
It's a good team.
Yeah. Yeah. Just take that in, just how good that is. Like every
Hard to
single
argue
one.
this team.
Yeah. Well, and it's good to see because like often I find that like you'd see this team in the second or third or fourth because there was some kind of like niche utility based team that had some kind of fun gimmick on it, beating it out. But no, this one's just like we found the team that works really well. It's just it needs good pilots to go and win with it.
Yeah.
Right. Rillaboom with the assault vest is probably the most unique thing about this team that I've been seeing. And even then, like Rillaboom's run that.
Yeah, Choice Banded Arcanine's an interesting pick too.
Yeah.
It does crazy amount of damage when you don't expect it to, and then the Intimidate utility is incredibly good too.
Right. Plus you have Terra Normal extreme speeds that you can just do
Yeah.
a bajillion damage with. It's great.
Who needs a Dragonite when you can make a Dragonite?
Yeah. Yeah. You can just toss out your Chen Pao. Extreme speed, whatever swaps in because you've intimidated it with your Arcanine. It's a nasty combination. All right. What else have we got? Paul Chua's team was the one who he was facing with a Heatran, Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, and Landorus Therian. Now, there's what I'm talking about. That is the Roaring Moon that I would expect to kind of be the pocket pick in regionals. It's like you don't see it too often, but there it is.
Roaring Moon constantly gets flack, and people constantly call it Roaring Mid,
Right?
because it's underwhelming. But for some reason, it keeps doing well at tours. There's 2 in top 8 right now. So is it really Roaring Mid?
Right.
I don't know. It's doing pretty darn well. This is a pretty interesting set. It's not used as speed control at all. In fact, nothing on Paul's team really has speed control. It's a Dragon Dance set. So like you can lead Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, set up Dragon Dance, and then Acrobatics everything to death. The other interesting thing that changed a little bit on Paul's team from previous teams that he's used in the past is that he opted for switching over the Heatran to a Fairy Terra. That's just the more common thing you see now. I feel like since Amoonguss fell off, Grass Heatran fell off, and Fairy Terra is very scary against Urshifus. Speaking again about Amoonguss falling off, Paul decided to bring one.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it did fall off, but look, it's here. It's in top 8. It's in second place.
And I can speak from experience that Amoonguss, especially with Terra type water, like really, really hurts all of the hyper offense in this tournament. It's rough. If you can't get like a good, well placed crit on that Amoonguss, like you might just lose because there's an Amoonguss on the team. Yeah. I do want to say with the Roaring Moons, I do really, really like Roaring Moon as a Pokemon. I like the set that Paul Chua used. Booster energy with Terra Flying, with Acrobatics, that whole combination, increasing your attack so that you can Dragon Dance with a fake out with Iron Hands beside you. So that next turn your Acrobatics not only is faster, but is, double the damage and stab because you have Terra Flying. It does a lot of damage. I used to love that with my original Violence team with Sandy Shocks. That was my boy.
Where's Sandy Shocks in this top 8, Mike?
It's not.
You got to
here
put
yet.
it there.
He's not here because
Gotta
I'm
make
not
him
running
there.
it. Yeah. Ragav brought a Draco, Reggie Drago.
Listen, what?
It's awesome. It's awesome. Like I maintain saying that Dragon Energy Reggie Drago is just it's nuts. It does
It can be
so
really
much.
good if you're in the right situation. I just didn't think that Ragav would find the right situation.
Mm.
It's crazy. I mean, Dragon in general, we've gone over this before, is a great defensive typing for the current meta and specifically against Ogerpon.
Yeah, we'll get into another reason why Dragon's great later, but continue.
Yeah, so having that as a Pokemon on your team and having the ability to Terra type away from the fairy weakness is always really nice. But yeah, if you could just get yourself set up in a situation to where you can hit the Dragon Fang, Dragon Energy with Dragon's Maw,
Mm-hmm.
it's done. You're like, whatever doesn't resist it on the other side of the field is gone.
I think Ragav's team was so interesting and so not what most of the people were bringing. If we're looking at this, we've got Urshifu Rapid Strike with Poison Terra type. And this is how I'm going to explain each one of these Pokemon. I'm going to say their name. I'm going to say their Terra type because the Terra type in these ones are so out there compared to what we've been seeing, I think. We see Poison Urshifu a little bit, but definitely not that often. Anyway, Rapid
They're all
Strike
named
Urshifu,
after rap
Poison.
songs.
Yeah, true. They're all Drake songs.
Are they?
Yeah, they're all Drake
Sicko
songs.
Mode
Yeah.
Is Sicko Mode Drake? No, or
I
is
think
that
he
Travis
featured
Scott?
on it.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, he definitely had a verse in it. I don't know if it was Drake's. Anyway, God's Plan is the Tornadus with Terra Ghost. That one is pretty normal. Reggie Drago is just unique by the fact that it's a Reggie Drago Terra type Steel.
Its existence is unique.
Rillaboom Over is the name of that one. Terra type is Grass, and that's one again. I don't see a ton of Rillabooms that just lean so hard into the Grass Terra. Like it makes sense. You just increase
It
your
must
damage.
get some important KOs that he couldn't get rid of.
Sure. Passion Fruit is the Hisuian Arcanine with the Water Terra type.
Ooh.
And then Hotline Bling, if anybody could guess, is obviously the Golden Go with the Terra type Dragon. So this is what I'm talking about. Terra type Dragon in this meta is just so good. There's so much with Ogerpon, Fire, Water, Grass Core, and Dragon just as a typing is built to resist all three of those things.
I think ironically, if you're a water type nowadays, you kind of want to be dragon, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to really be grass anymore because grass still opens you to be weak to Hearthflame Ogerpon. With dragon, you're not weak to any Ogerpon. You resist all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good team, man. Reggie Drago. But I think nothing beats Jamie Boyd when it comes to creativity because man's cooking here with this top 4 team.
Okay. We've got Roaring Moon with the Terra type Poison. Ogerpon, just regular teal mask Ogerpon holding a Razor
No
Claw.
seasoning on this Ogerpon.
No seasoning at all. Just holding a Razor Claw for those grass ivy cudgels.
It's just crazy. That means every other Ivy Cudgel is critting
Yeah,
you.
pretty much.
That's a little ridiculous. I mean, if there's any other item you're gonna give Ogerpon that isn't one of its masks, I guess Razor Claw is the one.
Right.
And then you get to keep Defiant too, which is a really good ability.
We've got Urshifu Rapid Strike with the Water Terra type. We've got Hisuian Arcanine with the Fairy Terra type. That one's an interesting one. You don't see Fairy Hisuian Arcanine too often either. Fairy and Thunderous with Terra type Flying. We've got the Thunderous instead of the Landorus for this one. Okay. I like it.
Terra Flying, Terra Blast, Grass Knot, Windbolt Storm, and Thunderbolt holding the Assault Vest.
Yeah, Wild Bolt
What?
Storm is interesting. Like it's just an interesting move. I like it a lot. And then there's Golden Go with Terra type Steel. Second Golden Go in top 4.
Yeah, Golden Go's making a little bit of a comeback here, right? There's 1, 2, 3. There's the same number of Golden Go's as Flutter Maids in this top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can mention that 2 of those 3 Flutter Mains were in the finals, and 2 of those 3 Golden Goes were beaten by those finalists, but still, it's here. They made it up here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Golden Go is expressly meant to deal with Fluttermanes. It's meant to deal with Fluttermane and a lot of the rest of the meta as well. So, I mean, they are still relatively scared of Fluttermanes. That's why they went away so hard when Fluttermane first became a thing back in Regulation C. When Fluttermane came in, Golden Go walked right out. It's like, I'll see myself out.
Yeah.
I've got 2 doors back here.
2 doors? Oh, yeah. Instead of 1 door, you have 2 doors, and they're both closed.
We're back in closed door meta.
Wonder what's in the closet. Not me.
What do both of those doors go to? Anyway, that is Toronto Regionals. Those are the top 4 from Toronto. Congratulations to all the people who won. Congratulations to Andrew Krug, who ended up 7th. I'm pleased to be pleased that Andrew is my first loss, because my first loss was to the person who came in 7th.
If only you didn't drop, your resistance would have been so good, bro. Come on. Look, your resistance made top 8.
If I was going for the 50 championship points, sure. But I don't know if I'm going to go to enough regionals or mid-season showdowns or premier challenges for me to actually get my Worlds invite. I might
Also,
just go anyway.
What happened with Canada? Not a single Canadian in top 8. What you guys doing?
Yeah, come on.
Letting the States take over?
The first Canadian is 12th. That's Nate Wright. Got $750. That's something, though.
And his name is Saga God. I'm assuming that's because of Mississauga.
Yeah, that's right. He's the Saga God. Oh, wow. Respect on that name. All right. What else? After this, there's a bit of a dry month of regionals. When's the next one?
I think it's San Antonio in December.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually a very dry month.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so looking here, we've got 28th, 29th of October, and then the next one, San Antonio, December 16th to 17th. Wow. So if you really, really, really want to get some Pokemon action, you are going to Gdansk at the end of November in Poland.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy your
November
trip.
25th to 26th in Gdansk.
Gdansk.
I know I'm not saying it right. Oh, there's also Brisbane. If you want to just hop on over to Oceania real quick. Brisbane, November 25th and 26th.
Fun time.
You're welcome.
I've never been. Is Australia nice? I've heard it's nice.
I want to go to Australia.
I wouldn't mind Australia.
I don't know if I ever want to go to Australia for Pokemon.
Probably not.
I think I want to go to Australia to be in Australia.
For the kangaroos.
Yeah.
Marsupials.
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Why are you going to Australia? I want to see a kangaroo.
Yeah.
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 Thank you for the transition. We've got a little bit of news about the game sales of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I thought this was pretty interesting. There was some data that came out. Yeah.
I thought it wasn't what I expected it to be, actually.
Really? In what way?
Like, a lot of the games that I like the best are at the bottom of the list. A little surprised.
Nintendo's released their quarterly financial insights, and with this, we now have new sales data from several Pokemon games, including Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, it looks like Pokemon Sword and Shield is still outselling Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not sure, actually, if this is sales from just this quarter.
No, that's total sales.
It's total sales, right?
Yeah, because it includes Red, Blue, and Yellow, and I doubt 32 million copies of Red, Blue, and Yellow exist.
Oh, see, I didn't see that full thing. Okay, that makes sense. So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has sold 26.02 million copies. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has sold 23.23 million. So actually, what this tells me is Scarlet and Violet is actually doing better than Sword and Shield did.
It does have still 2 years left in its life cycle, yeah. So depending on what DLC does for the game, whether DLC will entice people to buy it more, we also have to consider there's a holiday season coming up right now, which, they are also releasing a DLC for at the exact same time. It might be doing better, but the issue with Scarlet and Violet is I feel like Scarlet and Violet received a lot more negative press than Sword and Shield did.
Really? You
upon
remember
release.
that tree?
I mean, yeah, I was just about to say that tree got a lot of negative press, but like Scarlet and Violet as a whole, as much as I love this game, as much as I have a fun time playing it competitively, is struggling to exist.
And I think that might be a case of us being terminally online. I think it might be because we're on Twitter so much with a lot of people who like to say honest opinions about Scarlet and Violet.
People that have opinions.
We were kind of assuming that Scarlet and Violet would be a better version of Sword and Shield. And when it kind of wasn't, people were very vocal about that. So I don't know. I feel like we're around people who are a lot more vocal about it. Scarlet and Violet was seen relatively well by the rest of the world. But anybody who kind of watches anybody talk about it, they'll always be like, yeah, but it looks really buggy. And it's like not the best a Pokemon game could be. But I don't know if that's exactly what people are looking for these days anymore,
Yeah, who knows? I mean, the numbers are still... It's still within like the top 3 Pokemon games sold of all time. That's still something worth considering. Clearly, Pokemon on a home console is yards like more successful than Pokemon on a handheld console. I feel like.
Well, it benefits the fact that the Switch is both.
Yes, also that
the Switch is.
And
just
I think it'll remain
both of those. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Switch will remain both.
I'm sure.
For its entire... I can't imagine Nintendo trying to compete in the home console space again. They've kind of just created their own space, which is crazy to consider because they're like, fine, we can't match the specs. Let's just beat your handheld consoles and say good luck.
I've seen articles talking about the other side of that too, where Xbox and PlayStation are like, yeah, we've just got to see Nintendo as kind of our the other console that people are playing because they're not competing. They can't compete because they just have such a different ecosystem than Xbox and PS5. I don't know. That's cool. But yeah, so there's quite a few millions of copies of both of those games out. I think that Scarlet and Violet had a lot in terms of like soul of the game. I think, it was Nimona carried this game. Like carried it.
So wholesome. And the few cutscenes it did have were really nice. Yeah. Very like emotional. Do I wish there was voice acting? Sure, but hey, maybe one day.
Yeah. Super Mario Wonder comes out and they make a flower talk and everyone's like, wow, see, they can do it.
They know how to speak.
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
And all the
that keeps going for a lot.
It goes
longer.
on for a long time, and all the Pokemon fans are all like,
"Long overdue." Yeah.
Long overdue.
Long overdue. I need to go and get more sounds for this.
I'm gonna buy you an LA Knight t-shirt. Yeah.
People are gonna stop me and talk to me about it, and I'm gonna be like, I don't know what this shirt means, man.
I probably should have told you on this preach, but me and Pierre saw like nothing but wrestling back at the Airbnb.
Yeah.
He was asking me questions. It was great.
You taught him so much.
He was like, so who are these people? Oh, they're damage control. What's damage control? They're like a faction. What's a faction? There's like a group of friends. Are they a good group of friends? No, they're bad friends.
Ooh, bad friends.
It's like, oh, what makes them bad? They're just mean to everybody.
Oh.
Why are they beating him up? Because he is the baby face. A lot of wrestling terms that Mike is just like, okay.
Yeah, the baby face, the heel is another one.
Heel is bad guy. Baby face is good guy.
Oh.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Baby face is the good guy. Okay.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah!
We have the release date of the Indigo Disk.
Shockingly.
I know.
I honestly didn't think they were going to make it this year, but they made it.
They made it. They came out and told us that the drop date for the Indigo Disk is December 14th, which is like tomorrow.
That's like too soon.
I'm not ready
it's
for it,
the
but I'm also
weekend-
ready for it.
It's the weekend before San Antonio, right?
Yep.
Okay, but there's no way San Antonio is going to allow those Pokemon in. They're probably just going to... Regulation F is probably just going to exist in January.
Yeah, I was
right?
asking about that before the pod. I was like, when's Regulation F going to be? They can't drop it at the beginning of December. No way. They're going to do it for the beginning of January. They did that
Yeah,
for Teal
100%.
Mask, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that feels like it's going to be the case.
Yeah.
It's not like... I mean, I never mind. I was going to say, it's not like there are many Pokemon that'll shake the meta up, and my brain went to, oh, well, Incineroar.
There-
I might not be able to play Size Spam anymore thanks to this guy. It's okay. I'll play with my Blood Moon. I'll be fine.
I'm really interested to see how Ursaluna, Blood Moon Ursaluna, Fluttermane, how those three Pokemon are going to survive in Indigo Disk meta. Fluttermane, I think, is going to survive, but like the two Ursalunas, I don't know. I think it's a weird time for them.
Nah, I think Blursed will be fine. Hopefully. We'll see. We might get like... We get Whimsicott back, which is something else too. Like we can finally leave Illumise at home and not touch it again.
Right.
It's like, okay, it was fun while it lasted. You can stay in that corner. Here's a scary thought I'm going to put in your head now that we're talking about the Indigo Disk. How about Whimsicott beat up with Annihilate?
Oh, Annihilate. We can bring that back.
You can now Tailwind after you beat yourself up. Or you could Protect, Tailwind, beat up Rage Fist.
Protect, Tailwind, beat up Rage. Oh, I don't like it. Thanks.
Yeah.
What
You're welcome.
What did people used to do with Whimsicott?
Beat up Terrakion.
Beat up Terrakion. So it was just, okay.
With Justified. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was all before the legendaries were allowed in BGC. Once that happened, Whimsicott Terrakion just kind of like never saw light again, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, Whimsicott just has like Encore stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Encore Disable, and it has too much. It just has too many moves that are good.
And now you can change its type.
You can even imprison Trick Room if you wanted with Whimsicott.
I don't see people.
It's
I
everything.
don't think people would use Terastallization on Whimsicott though, would they?
If they do, they'd probably just make it like a dark so that they can't get taunted by opposing Whimsicotts.
Interesting.
You don't really need to run Ghost unless you want to run Focus Sash. Then you can run Ghost so you can't get fake outed. But if you're running Covert Cloak, you don't need Ghost. You could just run Dark.
I would figure that people still need to run Focus Sash on Whimsicott.
It
It's
might.
so frail.
I mean, you could argue that Tornadus no longer does, but it used to.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
Covert Cloak is just too good sometimes, though.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, oh, yeah. You got to fake me out. Good luck.
Mm,
Not going to happen. Here's a Tailwind.
right. This is going to be the common question of the day. We've got what Pokemon will the Indigo Disk Pokemon knock out of the meta? That's what I want to know. What Pokemon
there you
currently
go.
exist in the Teal Mask meta? Maybe like top 10, top 20 that you think are not going to be in the top 10, top 20 once those new rounds of Pokemon come in.
I wonder if I can answer this
Oh, yeah.
question.
I'll see if I can as well. I mean, looking at just the Ogre Ponds, do you think the Ogre Ponds are still going to be around?
I think the Ogre Ponds are kind of taking a step back right now,
Mhm.
too. It used to be like pick 5 Pokemon in an Ogre Pond for the first beginning part of Regulation E, but that kind of feels like it took a step back, too. I think people are starting to experiment the Mungus again. They're starting to experiment the Rillaboom again. They're kind of just weaning their way back to other grass types. Ogre Pond might fall off.
Now,
It might.
Sinistra is seeing a ton of play right now. Sinistra's sitting at like the number 15th Pokemon used. Do you see that usage going up or down?
I see that usage going sideways, honestly.
Okay.
I think maybe Incineroar will affect it a little bit, but I'm still pretty sure Sinistra can outlive an Incineroar, can strength sap it, and Incineroar get all of its health back. It might not care about any of that. Though what I do think will fall off a little bit is maybe Hisuian Arcanine and maybe Landorus, for the sheer fact that we already have we have Incineroar entering
Yeah.
in, and you might not need that many Intimidators on your team. So
Yeah.
that'll have a little bit of a drop. Arcanine historically, every time Incineroar enters a meta that Arcanine currently exists in, Incineroar takes over. But we've never seen that with Hisuian Arcanine, so I don't know how that'll work out.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was just thinking about something. I feel like
Water Terra Incineroar.
Water Terra Incineroar is
terrifying that is.
absolutely. But also the fact that we might be dead wrong about that. And there's been a lot of situations where, you know, the meta has started kind of developing in one way, and then we've kind of thought that it would develop in another way. But then because of the way that the meta was developing, what people actually ended up switching to was completely out of left field. Like Dragon Terra being a popular Terra was not something that we were thinking about, was not something that even the meta was thinking about, like, you know, 2 months ago. And I feel like that has been happening so much in Scarlet and Violet, where it didn't happen nearly as much in Sword and Shield. I felt a lot more confident about most of the metas in Sword and Shield because there were like definitive Pokemon that you would want to Dynamax, and then the rest of it was just the good old-fashioned game of Pokemon.
I think a big reason because of that is Terrestrialization.
Oh, of course,
though.
yeah.
If before, your only option was if this Pokemon counters that Pokemon, you switch it to a Pokemon that isn't that Pokemon, right? You know, if there are a lot of Incineroars, Milotic stocks increase. It was kind of that common sense. Now it's like, oh, I don't have to stop using my Golden Go. I could still keep using my Golden Go and then just change my Terra and I'll be okay.
Right.
You have that extra option, which I guess some can argue might stagnate the meta a little bit, make it change a little slower than we're used to seeing. But you know, it's just an extra dynamic.
It adds a whole other dimension to this game where, like, in best of ones in closed team sheets, you have no idea what your opponent is going to do and when it's going to terrestrialize. So like guessing happens a lot more on the ladder. And I find we're doing that a lot more in our videos, and everybody has been doing it more in their videos. And it's such a switch from Sword and Shield because like you could flowchart so easy in your mind in Sword and Shield compared to now. Being like, well, if they Dynamax, then this will not KO. But if they Dynamax, then they can only go for like these sets of moves. But now, if they Terra Water, it's one thing. If they Terra Grass, it's one thing. If they Terra Dragon, it's one thing. So it's like you have to do this like 4D chess in your mind the whole time when you're playing this game now. It's good, and I like that kind of brain exercise in Pokemon, but oh my gosh, is it making me older like every passing day.
It's also exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Also, Venusaur comes back too.
Oh yeah.
That was a thing for a while in Sword and Shield.
Oh yeah.
Venusaur and Torkoal. We'll get some more chlorophyll users in.
Is Venusaur going to terrestrialize into something different, or are we just going to get?
Yo, show me the fire weather ball Venusaur.
Yeah.
Bah.
Are we even going to go with Weather Ball if we have Terra Blast? Like,
no fair, yeah. Weather ball is, I think, technically more.
Oh,
it's base 100.
Oh yeah.
Base 100 plus stab. The other option is we get to have Venusaur plus like Fluttermane too. The other half of the team can just be a Trick Room team.
That's true. Full Sun.
Then you just kind of have a balanced Trick Room plus fast mode situation happening.
Whenever we think of the Sun, I always think of what things are going to be like when Koraidon can finally join in the meta.
Oh,
like what is that going to be like? Which is such a good segment. Congratulations, Michael. Pat on the back. Dragon King Battle Qualifier is a thing. Registration from November 20th to November 30th. Battle date December 1st to December 3rd.
Oh, next month already.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the next online tournament in Japan.
Just
Japan, it looks like. Yes. Yeah.
I wonder how many not Japanese viewers you just made sad.
I started saying it and then I was like, oh wait, no, it's Japan. No, that's okay.
Oh, well, what is it anyway?
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is because it's actually pretty interesting. I'm just looking at we're in Japan with international tie-ins currently unconfirmed. Ooh,
Oh, okay. So you're saying there's a
There's
chance.
hope. There's hope. You know how many non-Japanese viewers I just brought up and made their ears perk up? Like, huh?
So you're saying.
So you're saying. The competition is the annual qualifier for the Dragon King tournament. It runs standard Regulation E rule set, but requires you to bring Koraidon or Miraidon into the game. It is a single battle tournament. However, interestingly enough, the top players in Japan will be invited to the Dragon King battle tournament on February 25th, 2024, which I believe is a doubles tournament. Yeah,
Oh.
VGC will run Regulation F rules while also requiring you to bring at least one Pokemon with the Dragon type.
So they make you play singles to play doubles. And if you play singles good enough, you get to play the doubles version of it.
Right, yeah.
What do you win? Do you win anything?
Well, they haven't said. But in Japan,
presumably you win something.
Yeah, interesting. The Dragon King tournament in Japan is a VGC, TCG, and Unite tournament.
That's the trifecta.
That's the trifecta.
Where's my Go representation at?
That's so cool. To qualify in VGC, you play singles. Like, how many people who play VGC right now would still be there if you had to qualify with singles? I'm so curious.
That's a rough one with me. I don't know. I struggle with ran bats sometimes.
We have a whole group of like VGC specialists with VGC. Like, so many of them wouldn't know singles, I think.
The VGC specialistas.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure half of the people who are listening who are just like, oh yeah, I could play singles easy. Singles is super easy. It's not. It's a different game. Trust me, it's a different game.
Say that again after you face the Toxapex.
Yeah. One Toxapex.
Just one Toxapex and Chansey, and then just tell me how it goes.
Yeah. You attack a Pokemon and it doesn't go down. It's like, what? Whoa, wait.
What?
Hang on.
But I used my Psychic Terra Expanding Force with Life Orb and Psychic Terrain.
I'm pretty sure that would still knock out anything.
A Chansey, though?
Oh, no, you're right.
Not a chance. Chansey would be like, no.
I'm trying to look up OU right now. Yeah, like King Gambit is number 1 in OU right now by a wide margin. 42% of teams are bringing a King Gambit.
That's ridiculous. Golden goes next. Yeah. Iron Valiant's up here?
Iron Valiant is up there.
I look at Gliscor. It just came in the game, 25% usage. People love their Toxic Orb stalled nonsense with Gliscor.
People have loved Gliscor for the longest time. For the longest time.
Not in VGC. You just Ice Beam it.
Oh my God.
Away.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, oh man, back in X and Y when I used to go to locals and play there, Gliscor was everywhere.
Its stats aren't horrible.
No.
I've never looked at Gliscor stats. I'm looking at them now. They're not bad.
125 defense, not bad.
Yeah, it's tanky.
Yeah. Great Tusk is still in the meta. Where did Great Tusk go in VGC? It's gone.
Well, this is also because they do have ban lists in this too. So a lot of the stuff we see in VGC might just be in Ubers. Okay, actually, Ubers is interesting. Koraidon, Miraidon are actually 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're topping it.
Which is very interesting because there are legends in the game right now. You have things like Kyogre and Groudon in the game. You have things like Calyrex in the game, Arceus, Eternatus. And to see that Koraidon, Miraidon are still above both of those is kind of crazy. Zacian, for example, Koraidon, Miraidon are both above Zacian.
Yep.
So I think they invented some pretty decently power crept legendary Pokemon for this gen.
For this gen and for Sword and Shield too, because like let's not forget that Zacian like lost the fact that like its gimmick was like half of its damage. Like there's no Dynamax, and yet Zacian is still in third. So pretty wild. Fun story that number 8 in this singles list. All right, we've got Koraidon, Miraidon, Zacian, Arceus, Kyogre, Arceus Ground, Giratina Origin, and then in number 8 we've got Clodsire.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
The spikes, toxic Clodsire.
In Ubers, my God.
In
In
Ubers.
Ubers.
And you thought that Pooper was bad.
Oh, it's absolutely not.
Respect to Basket Legion holding up too.
Yeah.
Number 10, above Fluttermane and Ubers.
I need to take like a whole week off of work and just do a full deep dive onto Smogon singles and just figure out what's going on here, because it's wild. I feel like you when I first started VGC right now.
Yeah, this is crazy because like you pretty much just took the full leap into VGC. So like going back and looking at it, you're just like, what is happening?
Because like I could say like a Gliscor back in the day, and you'd be like, what is that thing? And I'd be like, you don't know about Gliscor? And I'm sure there are people who are like singles only who would feel the exact same way right now.
Like, you don't know about Clodsire?
Clodsire? No, it's actually the worst Pokemon right now in VGC. Like, it's not good.
Someone needs to explain to me why Rabombi is number 13th in Ubers currently.
You gotta watch out for Rabombi, man. Sticky Web, Moonblast, Stun Spore, Tailwind, like, and Shield Dust. Are you kidding me?
Turns out Glimmet is really good in Little
What's
Cup.
a Glimmet?
Glamora's baby.
Oh,
because Toxic to because Poison in Little Cup is so detrimental.
What do you mean?
Because they only have like 25 HP or whatever it is. They're level 5. Oh. Okay.
Volibee and Mienfoo. Like, anyway, I could gasp at the names on these lists for hours, but we've got the rest of the podcast.
Voltorb, his Seaweed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I asked a question last week, and I need to go and find that question. Oh, I can do it.
It's actually 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago. That was the shortest episode ever of Pokésports.
Which was one of the longest.
Yes.
Next to the math episode.
I asked in that episode, what pieces of competitive Pokemon information do you think you know the least about? Calcs, team building, type matchups, EVs, that kind of thing. In part to try and find some topics to talk about in future episodes. So this will be us trying to see like, hey, what kind of things are out there that we should maybe make an episode of? Oscar.
Oh no, Mike's broken before he spake.
Oscar, first of all, says, wait, many episodes are shorter. Yeah, that was the thing. Is we started the episode being like, we don't have much time. We just got to bang out this episode real quick. And then we ended up making it like longer than a lot of episodes.
The longest episode.
Yeah.
No.
Like this episode might be shorter than that. Probably not. Tyler says it's not in here, but finding perfect stat rolls for a single catch Pokemon like Ursaluna Blood Moon, Cresselia, and Heatran, which dominate the competitive scene. I wish I had the time. I'm a Blissey. Hey, I'm a Blissey.
Single catch roll.
Yeah, so Pokemon with like finding perfect stat roll. Oh, I see. So we're talking like IVs.
Oh, very unlikely is the answer to that question. I don't know the actual percentage, but yeah, it's a bad time. Pretty much, you're never gonna get the 31, 31, 31, 31 that you want. Right. You're just gonna have to hyper train them. When it comes to Heart Tricker Moms like Ursaluna, you have to reset for the negative speed.
Yeah.
And just ignore the attack. It doesn't matter if it's 0 attack. It really doesn't. Not many Pokemon run foul play, and even then, Ursaluna's doesn't have a lot of attack to begin with, and isn't weak to it. So you just have to go for the 0 speed. Once you get that 0 speed, just hyper train everything else.
Yeah, everything else is really easy. When it comes to getting the speed IVs, that's where it gets tough. Ursaluna Blood Moon has trouble with that. Cresselia has trouble with that. Cresselia has like a very specific kind of trouble with that because it's used so much. People are actually like finding the exact right amount of speed IVs to have on Cresselia, and that I think is just it's a waste of time. Like just
Enamorous Therian is horrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's behind another game, and you have to complete the quest, and you only get one per game. So if you reset it, you have to redo the quest.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Yeah.
But I mean, people do it. People do it.
Yeah. The sad thing is there is currently not an easier way
No.
to do this, and this is just the world we live in when it comes to getting EVs.
That's right.
If you're running just like if you're running just hyper offensive stuff, then you just hyper train it all and just move on with your life because ain't no one got time to reset for that.
Right. Well, Calvin has a good one. It says speed interactions and how they change in a game. For example, tailwind or icy wind hurts my brain. Always seems like magic when players can consistently predict when both moves and abilities will hit. And I can sympathize so hard with that. I think that Kevin and I are actually pretty decent at sussing out when certain moves will go and what Pokemon like have a high likelihood of actually going. But then you have some situations where like a Cresselia outsped my Chenpao the other day, and that I was like, what? How did that?
Yeah, the only way
happen?
that happened was if it was modest and scarfed, and you were adamant,
Right.
And I think
that
were
was the
adamant
case.
on that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Which is why are you running Scarfed Cresselia? That's a strange thing to run. But yeah, when it comes to that, it's mainly remembering base stats, remembering common sets. Frequent Pokemon like Chenpao, for example, will run maximum speed. Fluttermane will kind of have a range. It doesn't always run maximum speed, but there's a range. I think if you remember base stats, it's probably good enough to get you through the mindset of each turn. Like if you just remember that Fluttermane is base 135, and the Pokemon that you're running, like Urshifu, is base 90. I think 97. So Urshifu will not outspeed the Fluttermane. Fluttermane will go first, but Fluttermane's friend is a Tornadus and has priority Tailwind. The speed will immediately change the second that move goes, which will then in turn make it outspeed.
See, for me, I can never remember it like that. I can remember certain things. Like I can remember that Fluttermane is 135. I can remember, Urshifu being 97, actually. Like that is kind of the two big ones that I've got. When it comes to like slow Pokemon like Torkoal, Iron Hands, Amoonguss.
General rule of thumb is that Torkoal will outspeed everything
in Trick Room. Yeah, because Torkoal is like the slowest thing possible. When it comes to those three and other slow Pokemon, I cannot remember that at all. So I like to kind of categorize most things and just be like, okay, these Pokemon are slow. And that's why I was able to say like Iron Hands, Torkoal, and Amoonguss like right off the bat. Because when I think of slow Pokemon, that is where they live. When I think of like kind of speedier Pokemon, we've got like Rillaboom, Urshifu, Arcanine is somewhere in there. Hisui and Arcanine also somewhere in there. I've learned over time and through practice that things like Urshifu, I believe, outspeed Arcanines. And they will just hit first. But then when it comes to like Tailwind and Choice Scarf, a lot of the time I just kind of assume that it will outspeed. When I see a Landorus out there with a Choice Scarf, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely outspeeding Urshifu's. I'm definitely outspeeding Fluttermane's if I didn't see photosynthesis boosting speed. Like that is just kind of through experience where that's hitting in my brain. And then with Tailwind, it's much easier to assume that a lot of Pokemon are going to outspeed because Tailwind is a ×2 boost rather than thing
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5, which is Choice Scarf.
One stage. Yeah.
So
same thing with Icy Wind. Icy Wind is a decrease by 50%.
Yeah, that's just one stage.
-1 stage.
When it comes to the speed stages, that's where it makes so much more sense to me. Like it's so easy to remember just speed stages. Okay, it's a -1 in speed, cut the speed in half. Easy. When it comes to like a Choice Scarf and Chlorophyll and Tailwind, it's like that's so hard to remember, man.
And from the outside looking in, this might make it seem like in order to be good at this game, you have to memorize every single Pokemon speed, period. You don't. You just have to memorize your 6 Pokemon speed on your team and where they match up with the common stuff.
Yeah.
You on your team, you should know if your Ogerpon outspeeds your Chenpao. You should know if your Iron Hands outspeeds your Ursaluna. Like, you should have that internalized, and you should memorize your speed tiers just so that you can use that to play against your opponent.
Right. And the rest is just learning. The rest is just as you play, you realize like, oh, this one outsped this one didn't outspeed that one. And just keep that going.
Usually the bigger guys are slower and the thinner guys are faster. The flying guys, they're kind of fast too.
That comes with time. Mewtwo and Altura says an interesting one. Calx, I keep predicting I will survive this, hits in red, but the Chi-Yu just dies. And I'm like, oh, help, my sweeper's down. I didn't know Firefish was so squishy. Yeah.
It actually isn't, which is surprising. It's not like the worst stats in the world.
Well, that's the thing.
But yeah, the problem with Firefish is its HP is low.
Right.
But its special defense is actually 120. Really high.
Which is pretty good.
Like, especially Chi-Yu's going to have a hard time surviving. But, especially it's going to have a decent time surviving. But physically, it's going to have a hard time surviving.
But I think that's what they're saying is that, because if you look at the stats, you're like, okay, Chi-Yu's probably going to live this. And then it doesn't. And it's like, wait a second, what?
I don't think Chi-Yus are affected by their own ability either.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was like, I think that, no, they're not. But like, I have that kind of situation too. Sometimes where it's like, I fully expect something to live in the red or something to like actually KO. And then they live at 1 or then they live at 5% or something like that. And some of the times that you might be right. And just that was a roll. Every Pokemon attack has a chance to do either 100% or 85% of its damage. And like, you can roll between that. So sometimes you might actually get the KO. Sometimes you might not.
That's always been the strangest aspect of Pokemon, that beneath all this math, there is even more RNG.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Not only is there the crit RNG, but there is the damage RNG.
The actual thing that happens. Yeah.
And there's no way to influence that. There's no way to always do 100% on that spectrum. Or always do 85%.
Unless there was an item.
Unless.
An item that always makes you max roll. That'd be interesting. Do you think that would see competitive play?
Introducing the damage roller. It's just a paint roller that you attach to your Pokemon. And when attached, you turn into a little squid and do always max damage. You're a kid now. You're a squid now. The damage roller.
Have a good night, everybody.
Just end the
Peace. You ended me. I'm done.
Okay. You know what? But that's true. The rest of these are like actually legit good podcast topics that we probably shouldn't burn here at the end of this podcast where like 50% of people are still listening. So anyway, if you want to go and see some cool stuff, go on over to pokemon.youtube/com at Pokésports. Oh no. Can we start the podcast over?
Hello and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive hoopty-doopty-doo.
If you go on over to youtube.com/Pokésports, you can see lots of different videos where Kevin goes and wins a tournament and Mike goes and I don't know, plays a Houndstone. I played a Houndstone team. It was good. It was a really fun team. HM Dive made it. And it was great. Great.
I was waiting for a pause. You didn't give me any.
I'm not going to give you a pause. You have to take a pause. Pause. All right.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/Pokésports is where you can find more of those videos, as well as our monthly league that Kevin just won. So congratulations. You won your first. Woo! Proud of you. Okay. Cool. I guess that's long overdue.
Long overdue.
That's the end of the podcast. Yeah. And we'll,
If you don't mind, I got a match to get ready for.
Bye.
Bye.